Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. This article comes to you guys from Seeking Alpha. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. So just a disclaimer, I'm no financial expert, no stock expert, so don't go buy, sell, trade any of your stock based on my opinion. So AT&T remains a top tier pick, and I can see and understand why that's the case. So let's look at some of the key points here in the summary. AT&T remains a strong buy despite recent share price underperformance, with a robust business growth and undervalued shares presenting an attractive entry point. That's going to be a strength of AT&T's. They're going to really go big on the entry level point, and you guys will see that soon. AT&T's mobility and fiber broadband segments are driving revenue growth, offsetting declines in legacy business wireline operations. That's going to eventually fade out too, so that'll be an even bigger boost for AT&T. Eventually, the legacy business wireline operations will be shut down. They'll be decommissioned, and then AT&T will. Right now, they're already replacing that with some FWA, but that'll just get better in the future. Management targets annualized EBITDA growth of 3% plus, aggressive cost cuts, and continued capital investments supporting long-term profitability. That's a big deal. Valuation models suggest 26.9% total implied upside through 2027, with further potential if trading multiples expand, making AT&T a compelling long-term investment. So, and you guys could check out the rest of the article for yourselves. There's some pretty good information. So AT&T remains a top tier pick. Why is that, right? So there's three main segments that I'll say AT&T is growing in a healthy way. The first one is wireless. So you got to look at wireless as a whole. I know they don't report it separately, but business, consumer, and then we got to put in FirstNet. They grow on FirstNet too. It's all part of the overall successful planning. They're going to continue to chase the agencies, the individuals. For first responders, they're going to continue to grow that. And they're going to look to grow the consumer more effectively and aggressively because of all the capacities that they're generating. We've seen it already, or we see it all over Reddit, 180 megahertz, 160, 190 and some. And it's fast. And in a lot of those posts and markets, they haven't even scaled the backhaul. So there's more capacity that AT&T can still generate, and they have to monetize that, right? We discussed that already. That has to be monetized. So they're going to be very aggressive on the entry level, for sure. They have to be. They want to load that up, and they're going to be very aggressive on that. The second is FWA. That's a newfound growth engine for the company. Even though very early on they stated they didn't want to go big on FWA, but now they're growing 200 plus thousand, next quarter potentially 300 plus thousand, and they haven't even put any marketing, any national go-to market, nothing. They haven't done any national ad campaigns, nothing around FWA that I've seen. So that's another opportunity. They can probably grow that bigger if they want to. They can get to 400,000 a quarter if they really choose to. They can do it because they have similar spectrum assets now comparing to the competition. Yeah, they might be a few megahertz behind, but they're close. And that's before AT&T deploys any of that 4.9. So AT&T is sitting on a mountain of spectrum right now, and they need to monetize it. And FWA is an easy way to monetize. You don't really need any techs. You just send them the unit, the router, and they have it's a self install in 15 minutes or so. Quick. So that's really the I don't want to say unlimited potential for AT&T on FWA, because we all know spectrum is not unlimited, but it's huge growth potential for the company to be able to post that growth and then still do, which leads me to number 3, fiber, and you're still doing 250,000, maybe more in the future as you continue to grow homes passed. So once you total all that up, I mean, that's a balance sheet for you. And FWA isn't cheap. They're selling it at $55. From what I've seen, I would assume it's cheaper if you can bundle with wireless as well, the convergence play. But they're looking to make money here. AT&T is really looking to make money. They just spent $23 billion on spectrum. More to come on that. And it's going to be very interesting. Would we like AT&T to densify? Yes, but they keep spending money in other areas, and I just don't know how extensive or how serious they take densification. Some people internally say that they know for sure that there's thousands of sites missing that are still needed in the network. How AT&T goes about it remains to be seen. They could decide to do a bunch of small cells in any given market. They could decide to do the towers. I think the towers for some areas are more effective, but that'll be up to AT&T to decide. They now also use the AI tool, just like T-Mobile, in regards to new network asset deployments. The AI tool is telling them, like the customer-focused driven coverage that T-Mobile uses. It's the same tool that AT&T now has incorporated. So it tells them, hey, you need assets here, you need this there. And AT&T makes the decision as to what assets need to be deployed. So it'll be interesting to see, but AT&T is a sleeper right now. They are a sleeper, even though there's a lot of debating going on the mid-band deployment, how slow it's perhaps been, as we discussed. The densification, a lot left to be desired on that, but they're winning. They're winning in regards to the balance sheet. They continue to grow it. They continue to grow the network with the FirstNet reimbursements from the government. That's why it's also hard to kind of judge AT&T's capex, because we don't know how much they're still getting reimbursed for these new site builds. We don't know. So AT&T right now, I feel is the most interesting to watch, in my opinion. We kind of have a clear idea of where Verizon is going to go. We have a clear idea where T-Mobile is going to go. Not hard to figure it out. They're going to go to fiber. They're going to make more deals there. They're continuing to deploy the network. I guess we could debate about the C-band deployment. When is T-Mobile going to do that? That's kind of an unknown. But right now, they're moving in a positive direction. T-Mobile grows the most. We've seen that, so no surprises there. We all know Verizon is continuing a full wholesale change. Rebrand could possibly be in that. So we'll see what they do. But AT&T, I feel, is the most interesting right now. They're on a successful path. They're growing. They're doing what Verizon wants to achieve, or trying to. So we'll see. And now AT&T has all these new assets that they're still deploying, the DoD. But within a year or two, I think they'll be more scaled. They'll have the Nokia, the Ericsson largely done. And that's when we see, okay, how do they refocus the capex? Do they now densify? So that remains to be seen. I think the fiber strategy for AT&T is just, it's a pure investment. There's going to be no slowdown on that. In fact, there's only acceleration I see from them in fiber. So over the next few years, I expect acceleration. I expect them to go beyond 60 million homes passed, beyond 2030, and that's not changing. There is no refocus. Let's get back to the drawing board. No, fiber, they're all in on that. I'm telling you guys right now, they're all in on fiber 100%. More deals, more gigapower, more native build, all that is in the works. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you think AT&T is a top tier pick. Let us know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.